The office felt unusually quiet that afternoon, the kind of silence that presses against your skin. She adjusted the papers in her folder one last time, her hands trembling slightly, not from fear but from anticipation. Today she was going to hand in her resignation. No more late nights. No more answering his cryptic calls. No more tiptoeing around a man whose presence alone could make her pulse race. She took a deep breath and straightened her spine. "This is it," she whispered to herself, the words tasting foreign on her tongue. The office door clicked behind her and she froze. He was standing there. The Mafia boss. Black suit, perfectly tailored. Eyes like storm clouds, unreadable yet piercing straight into her chest. "You're leaving?" His voice was low, smooth, dangerous. She swallowed hard. "Yes. I think it's time I move on." A flicker of amusement danced across his face, but it didn't reach his eyes. Instead, his expression hardened. In a fluid motion, he stepped forward and pressed the office door shut. The click of the lock echoed in the empty room. "You're not leaving." Her stomach dropped. "Excuse me?" He walked slowly toward her, the sound of his polished shoes against the marble floor filling her with a mix of dread and curiosity. "You're not a staff member," he said, stopping just a few feet away. "You're mine." Her heart raced, pounding in her ears. Her rational mind screamed to leave, but her body betrayed her. Frozen, captivated, caught in a web she didn't understand. She tried to maintain her composure, gripping the resignation letter like a shield. This isn't professional." He smirked, a dangerous, infuriatingly charming curve of his lips. "Professional? You've always been more than that. And I don't let go of what belongs to me." Her pulse skyrocketed and a shiver ran down her spine. She realized, with a mix of terror and thrill, that leaving wasn't just about quitting a job anymore. She was trapped, by his office, by his words, and by something far more powerful she didn't yet understand. And for the first time she wondered, did she even want to leave? The office felt smaller now, the walls closing in as reality sank in. She was trapped. Not just by the locked door, but by him, by the dark magnetism that seemed to pull her forward even as her instincts screamed to run. He leaned against his desk, watching her carefully, every movement measured. "Do you really think handing me a resignation letter will end this?" His tone was calm, but his eyes held a storm. I just want to leave," she stammered, clutching her bag like a lifeline. "I'm done. That's all." He smiled, slow and deliberate. "Done?" He walked closer, each step echoing in the silent office. "You misunderstand. You're not done with me. Not yet. You've never been just an employee. You've been mine from the moment you stepped into this office." Her hands trembled and she felt her breath hitch. She wanted to be angry, to scream, to throw her resignation at him, but something about the way he spoke made her falter. "You can try to leave," he said, leaning slightly closer. "But the world outside these walls, it's not safe. Not for you. Not when you belong here. With me." Her mind raced. She knew about his reputation, whispers of power, danger, and a life she couldn't touch. And yet, here he was, making her feel like she was at the center of his world, like nothing else mattered. She shook her head, trying to steady herself. "This isn't fair. You can't just." He cut her off with a hand on the desk, leaning in just enough for her to feel the heat radiating off him. "Fair?" he said, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Life with me has never been about fair. It's about what's mine. And you are mine." Her heart pounded. Fear and something else, something she refused to name, mixed inside her, twisting together. She realized that leaving wasn't going to be as simple as walking out the door. She had stepped into a game she didn't fully understand, and the rules were written by him. And the first rule? You don't walk away. The air between them crackled, thick with unspoken words. She took a step back, only to feel the edge of the desk press against her hips. There was nowhere left to retreat. "You enjoy this," she said, forcing the words out, her voice steadier than she felt. "Cornering people. Intimidating them." A low chuckle escaped him. "If I wanted to intimidate you, you'd be shaking." His gaze dropped briefly to her hands. "You're not." That unsettled her more than any threat could. He reached out, not to touch her, but to place his hand beside hers on the desk. The closeness made her breath hitch. She could smell his cologne, dark and expensive, clinging to him like a promise she didn't want to want. "You could have left months ago," he said quietly. "Yet you stayed." "I needed the job," she shot back, though even she didn't fully believe it. His eyes softened just slightly. "No. You stayed because you're not afraid of me. You challenge me. And men like me don't forget women like you. Her heart raced. She hated how his words slipped under her skin, how they made her feel seen in a way no one ever had. She pushed past him suddenly, creating a small distance between them. This is crazy. You lock doors, make claims you have no right to. He turned, calm, controlled. I haven't touched you. I haven't forced you. Yet you're still here. She opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. The truth stung. Part of her wanted to run. Another part wanted to stay and find out what he really meant when he said she was his. He crossed the room again, slower this time. You don't belong behind a desk, pretending you're ordinary, he said. You belong beside me. Her pulse thundered. And if I say no? His gaze locked onto hers, intense but patient. Then I wait. But you won't say no forever. Silence stretched between them, heavy and electric. She realized with a jolt that this wasn't just about quitting a job anymore. It was about control, desire, and a line she was dangerously close to crossing. And once crossed, there would be no turning back. She moved away from him, pretending to straighten a stack of files just to steady her hands. Her eyes wandered the office, something she'd avoided doing for months. She'd always treated this place like borrowed space. Now it felt like a cage with secrets embedded in its walls. Her gaze landed on a door she'd never noticed before, half hidden behind a tall bookshelf. What's in there? She asked, nodding toward it. His expression changed. Just slightly. Enough for her to notice. Nothing you need to worry about, he said. That was all it took. Curiosity flared, sharp and uncontrollable. While he turned to answer a phone message, she stepped toward the door and twisted the handle. It opened easily. Too easily. The room beyond was dim, lined with screens, safes, and neatly arranged files marked with names, not companies but people. Photos. Dates. Locations. Power laid out like a map. Her breath caught. This isn't business. He appeared behind her without a sound. It's survival. She spun to face him, heart pounding. You spy on people? Control them. I protect what's mine, he replied evenly. And I eliminate threats before they get close. The weight of his words settled heavily in her chest. This wasn't rumor anymore. This was proof. He wasn't just a powerful CEO with a dangerous reputation. He was exactly what the whispers said, and more. You knew, he continued. The day you accepted this job, you knew I wasn't normal. She swallowed. Knowing isn't the same as seeing. For a moment he said nothing. Then quietly, now you understand why I won't let you walk away. Fear crept in, but it was tangled with something else. Safety. If a man like this claimed you, no one else could touch you. You should be terrified, he said, searching her face. I am, she admitted. But not for the reason you think. His eyes darkened, unreadable. She realized then that quitting had never been the real danger. Knowing the truth was. And now that she did, there was no pretending she was just an employee anymore. She had seen his world. And it had seen her back. The office was quiet again, but the tension had shifted. She still felt the weight of the hidden room on her chest, but now there was something new in the air, a flicker of something human beneath the darkness. He leaned against the desk, staring out the window as if the city below could answer his questions. Most people don't understand me, he said quietly. They see power, danger, but they don't see me. She tilted her head, surprised by the honesty. I thought I saw enough already. The locked doors, the files. They don't tell the story, he interrupted. Not the loneliness. Not the nights I spend making choices that no one else could survive. Choices that isolate me from everyone I care about. She stepped closer, cautiously. I didn't know. His gaze met hers then, sharp yet soft, as if he were weighing whether to let her see more. I don't trust easily. And I don't let anyone in. You've always been different. Her heart thumped. Different. She hadn't expected that word to come from him. I stayed, she admitted softly, because I knew something. I don't know, behind all the danger there's more to you. Something worth seeing. He let out a slow breath, a rare sound that wasn't a laugh or a warning but almost human. Most would run the moment they saw the truth. But you faced it anyway. And I. He stopped, as if the words were too heavy to continue. What? She pressed gently, not wanting to push too hard. I admire you, he said finally. Your courage, your fire. Even if you try to deny it, even if you want to leave. A shiver ran through her. Admiration. From him. The dangerous, untouchable man she feared, and yet couldn't stop thinking about. For the first time she saw the cracks in his armor, the vulnerability he rarely allowed anyone to witness. and it terrified her almost as much as it thrilled her. She realized then that the game had changed. She wasn't just a pawn and he wasn't just a boss. There was something real simmering beneath the danger, something neither of them were ready to name, yet. And for the first time she wondered if running away even made sense anymore. The quiet was shattered by the sudden sound of tires screeching outside the office. She froze, heart hammering. Something about the timing felt wrong. He appeared at her side instantly, calm, lethal. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. Through the tinted windows she saw black SUVs pulling up. Men in dark suits were moving fast, precise, too precise to be coincidence. She realized with a jolt that someone was after him. And by extension, after her. "Why me?" she whispered, her voice tight. "Because you're with me," he said simply. No hesitation. "No one hurts what belongs to me." Panic and adrenaline coursed through her. She wanted to protest, to run, but the rational part of her knew she had no choice. Following him was survival. He moved with predatory grace, unlocking a hidden side door and leading her through a maze of corridors she didn't know existed. Every turn, every shadow felt alive with threat. She clung to him, heart racing, not entirely with fear. "You don't get to look scared," he said, his hand brushing hers for a fraction of a second as they moved. "It makes you look weak." She pulled back, cheeks burning. "Wait, no." But the rush of his proximity, the brush of skin, made her pulse spike in ways that had nothing to do with danger. Outside, the night air hit them, crisp and heavy. He handed her a sleek black jacket. "Wear this. Don't look back." But she couldn't. She caught his eyes for a heartbeat, and something unspoken passed between them. Danger, yes. But also, connection. Desire. Something electric that made her blood run hotter than the fear itself. The SUV screeched past them, unaware they'd been outmaneuvered. He glanced at her, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. "You're quick. Braver than most." She hesitated, unsure what to say, unsure what she was feeling. "Good," he murmured, close enough that she felt the heat of his breath. "Because surviving my world, you'll need every ounce of that." And as adrenaline faded, leaving a heady, dangerous calm, she realized she was no longer just an employee trying to quit. She was part of something far bigger. And far more intoxicating. They returned to the office late that night, the city lights casting long shadows across the floor. The adrenaline from the escape still pulsed through her veins, leaving her body tense, alive. He closed the door behind them and for a moment, silence hung heavy between them. She tried to steady her breathing. "That was insane," she whispered. He didn't reply immediately. Instead, he walked slowly to the window, hands in his pockets, eyes staring out at the glowing skyline. Finally he spoke, voice low and deliberate. "Do you know why I didn't let you leave today?" She shook her head, heart already pounding. "Because you matter to me," he said simply. His words hit her like a punch she didn't see coming. Matter? To him? She had always known he was dangerous, unyielding, impossible to read. And yet, right now, his words stripped away the mask. She began, unsure how to respond. "I've tried to stay distant," he continued, turning to face her. "I told myself you're just an assistant. Someone I respect, maybe, but nothing more. But the truth is that I can't keep you at a distance. I shouldn't even try." Her throat tightened. You're serious?" He stepped closer, the office suddenly too small, too charged. "Every word," he said. "And I know this terrifies you, scares you. But it should also make you realize how dangerous this is, for both of us." She felt a shiver run down her spine, a mixture of fear and something darker, desire, something she hadn't dared admit. "I don't know what to say," she confessed. "Then don't say anything," he replied, stopping just short of touching her. "Just know that my world, my life, is nothing without you in it." Her heart raced. She had always thought quitting the job was the biggest risk she'd take. Now she realized it wasn't the job, it was him. The confession hung between them like electricity. Dangerous, consuming, irresistible. And for the first time she wondered if surrendering to it could be worth the risk. The city streets glowed under the night sky as he led her through a private entrance to his car. She hesitated for a moment, the weight of what she was stepping into pressing down on her. This was no longer the office. This was his world, the one whispered about in rumors, feared and admired by everyone outside. "You've never seen anything like this," he said, sliding into the driver's seat. His eyes flicked to hers, sharp but almost amused. "And yet here you are. Not running. Not hiding." She swallowed hard. "It's intimidating." He smirked. It should be. But that's life with me. You either rise to it, or fall away. The city blurred past as they drove, skyscrapers and neon lights flashing like sparks in the night. She noticed the subtle security, drivers, bodyguards, surveillance, everything perfectly orchestrated, perfectly controlled. He parked in front of a private, lavish restaurant, the kind she had only seen in magazines. Dinner, he said simply. Not business. Not obligation. Just me showing you my world. Inside she realized just how separate his life was from hers. Wealth, influence, danger, it all swirled together in a heady mix that made her pulse quicken. And he moved through it like a predator, confident, untouchable. Why me? She asked quietly when they were alone at the table. He leaned back, eyes locked on hers. Because you challenge me. You're not like the others who fawn or fear. You make me consider things I've long forgotten, emotions I thought were gone. Her stomach twisted, both at the admission and at the intensity behind it. And do I want that? She whispered, unsure. He reached across the table, just brushing the back of her hand with his fingers. That, he said, is for you to decide. But understand this, I don't let go of what belongs to me. And you belong here. With me. Her breath caught. The danger, the desire, the thrill, it all collided inside her. Leaving wasn't just impossible. It was unthinkable. And as he smiled that dark, infuriating smile, she realized the line between fear and longing had blurred completely. She sensed it before it happened, the shift in the air, the way the room felt watched. The restaurant's soft music and low lighting suddenly seemed fragile, too easy to shatter. He stiffened beside her, eyes scanning the crowd. We're leaving, he said quietly. Too late. A man approached their table, smiling too easily. Boss, he greeted, nodding with forced respect. She recognized him, one of his associates. Or so she thought. Her breath caught when the man's gaze lingered on her just a second too long. Go, the Mafia boss said under his breath, pushing back his chair. But the man blocked her path. Relax, he said smoothly. She's the leverage, isn't she? Her heart slammed into her ribs. Leverage. The word echoed painfully. Was that all she was? In a blur of motion, chaos erupted. Guards rushed in, diners screamed, and she was pulled away, hands gripping her arm. Panic surged as she realized she'd been taken, used to draw him out. Hours later, she sat alone in a dark room, fear curling in her chest. Had she been foolish to trust him? To believe his words? The door slammed open. He stepped inside, fury rolling off him in waves. The man she'd seen before was dragged in after him, bloodied, broken. She was never the bait, he said coldly. You were. The traitor collapsed at his feet, begging. She watched, shaken as the truth settled in. He hadn't let this happen. He'd ended it. Ruthlessly. He turned to her, his expression softening instantly. Did they touch you? She shook her head, tears blurring her vision. He cupped her face carefully as if she were something fragile. I warned them, he said quietly. No one uses what's mine. Her chest tightened. Despite the fear, despite the danger, she realized something terrifying. She trusted him. Not because he was powerful, but because he'd chosen her over everything else. And now there was no denying it. Walking away would cost her far more than staying ever could. The office was quiet again, but it no longer felt like a cage. It felt like home, dangerous, intoxicating, and entirely his. She stood near the window, city lights flickering across her face, reflecting the turmoil she felt inside. He appeared behind her, close enough that she could feel the warmth of his body. You survived, he said, voice low, almost a growl. Not just today, not just the threats. You survived me. She turned, heart pounding. Words failed her. Every instinct screamed to run, every emotion begged her to stay. He stepped closer, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. Do you understand what it means, to belong to me? She swallowed hard, remembering the locked office door, the confessions, the danger, the thrill of being hunted and protected all at once. I think I do, she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. His lips curved into that infuriating, dangerous smile. Good. Because leaving isn't an option, not for you. Not for us. You're mine. In every way that matters. Her pulse thundered, not from fear, but from desire. She realized the truth she'd been avoiding. The lock on the office door had never been about power alone. It had been a promise, a test, a declaration. He didn't just want her to stay. He wanted her, entirely, willingly, in every way she could be his. Her hands trembled as she reached for his, letting them intertwine. Then I'm yours, she whispered, and the words felt like fire and water all at once, terrifying, impossible, yet inevitable. He pulled her close, a possessive, protective embrace that left no doubt where she belonged. "Forever," he murmured. Outside, the city carried on, unaware of the storm that had passed within these walls. Inside, they existed in a world where danger and desire intertwined, where fear melted into passion, and where possession wasn't cruel, it was a promise. And for the first time in her life, she understood that some things weren't meant to be escaped. Some things, some people were meant to claim you completely. And she belonged to him.